So why is FDM 3D printing the cheapest form of 3D printing? So FDM is actually the cheapest form of 3D printing for a very simple reason. It has the fewest number of inputs of any other 3D printing process. Now, when you're going through manufacturing, you have the raw materials that go in, any sort of labor that goes along with it, and then long-term maintenance and that kind of thing. So in our case with FDM, the raw materials are just straight filament and electricity, and then you get a finished part out if it's well designed, but that's a different conversation. Check out this video right here for conversations about 3D printing design. But once you have those two inputs, those are about as bare minimum as they can ever get. That's basically the inputs that you have in injection molding: heat, electricity, and the plastic. All after the part is done, a part can come off of FDM fully complete, ready to go into a box, which means that there's almost no labor that is actually necessary for it. Contrasting this to resin or powder, powder always requires some form of post-processing. And if you're a small operation, that's generally going to be done manually, which is fairly expensive and will add a lot of cost to the part. And the other machines are also limited by the number of machines that you can get, because powder are very expensive systems, so you can only maybe get one or two of those machines as you're building your business, which isn't very scalable. Whereas you could probably purchase quite a few FDM printers to match the capacity for much less. So that's another reason FDM is cheaper. The cost of equipment is less. Now looking at resin, resin is pretty much in the same boat as powder. While some of its post-processing and cleaning is a little bit more automated than most powder systems, it still has that extra step and will always have that extra step. There is no scenario where a resin 3D print will come off of the machine and go straight into a box. It has to be washed. It has to generally have supports removed. Whereas FDM is just so quick and clean. While it's slower than the other processes, there are things that you can do to accelerate it. And again, that's kind of the reason for the print farm model. With a giant print farm, all you have is the raw material and the electricity going in, and you have final parts coming straight off the shelves, which are the printers. So that's kind of the three main reasons that FDM is cheaper than the other processes. It's cheaper to get started with. The cost of materials are generally less going into it because it's very basic, and there is no post-processing labor that has to go into those parts.